So let's start. We are coming to the content where I would like to convey you in depth how I conduct one-on-one sessions, either virtually or in person. So we have this and next week exclusively reserved for one-on-one sessions. I call it essential healing because it's a nice, word game, because what we are doing with our work is essential, obviously, and it is healing, but I also use essential oils when I do one-on-one sessions in person. So this, this is kind of the word game, why I call this essential healing. So let's go to the overview. In part one, which is today, we are looking at designing a one-on-one session and the use of figurines. And then in part two, we are looking at what I call internal. Sometimes my video is gone, right? That's a bit weird. But can you still hear me when the video is gone? Okay, so that's probably not a big. Okay, cool. So in part two, we are looking at internal constellations and other tools that you can apply in one-on-one sessions. So let's jump into our part one, today's teaching content. What are we looking at today is we are looking at why do we even want to provide a one-on-one session? That's actually a good question if you think about it. We're looking at the pros and cons of a session versus a workshop as a group session. We are also discovering the setup and the props that you might want to use. We want to design a one-on-one session, and we do that together. We have a lovely exercise, as always, to do that. And that would be our exercise, and that would go then through the break. And then after the break, I will introduce in the use of figurines and other objects as representatives. However, I have not brought my, because I'm on holiday, I didn't bring my figurine board with me. So next week, when I'm back home and I have all my setup with my figurine, I will go through everything that I can't demonstrate today, right? So just bear that in mind. And then we will have a training session to conduct one-on-one sessions, right? So let's do this. The question is, why are we even providing one-on-one sessions? And that is a valuable question because Bert Hellinger has not done that. He has not a setup for one-on-one session. For him, family constellation was a group experience solely, right? I don't know. He might had private consultations, or maybe I don't know of it. I don't want to say that, but there was not a thing. He wasn't teaching one-on-one sessions, or you never got one-on-one session taught in the training. You just been taught how to conduct workshops and group sessions. So just be aware of that. The one-on-one sessions is common with family constellation. It works very well. I use it for quite some time now. And this is what I want to convey now, and others as well. So it's not only that I do that, right? I just see the external camera is just not connecting properly. So I'm going to swap that out. That's not going to work for us. So let's see how this looks. A little bit strange, but I don't think we will be interrupted so much with losing the image. Okay, and here's everybody now. Welcome, welcome. So, however, one-on-one sessions are really the best way start family constellation in a quite light-hearted way, because you can just, invite a friend or family member to sit with you and talk about some issues they want to look at, and then you might experience how for yourself how you can provide a one-on-one session and get more confident to provide family constellations than in a group. So that's really valuable to start also with one-on-one sessions. Also, a big pro for one-on-one session, or why we want to do one-on-one session, is this can be integrated immediately into your professional work. Like if you have a professional work where you're already working with client in consulting or any other healing businesses, then you can just, you have, for example, your figurine board or other tools there, and you just put it up and say, okay, show me, what we talked about, just show me how that looks on the board, just choose figurines and show it to me. And so you are kind of starting a family constellation without even mentioning it. That is really enlightening for yourself about your client, and for your client themselves when they have the chance to do that. The use of the figurines or other objects in the way that we are placing representatives in a family constellation is also really good initial starter in conversations. So I'm not sure if I have told you that, probably not. I had a meeting with Sophie Hellinger. We were meeting for lunch. We had some businesses to do together, and I was just going through, separation and everything, and that was, as always, not nice and not easy. So while we were sitting on the, in the restaurant at the table, she said, "Oh, she just put the glasses that we have, and the salt and the pepper and the vase with the." And she just, okay, so where are you? Where's your husband? Where's your child? And so we were in the midst of a family constellation before they served us lunch. And just with everything that was on the table. And it was very beautiful. I mean, it really, like all the time you do it, it is a proper constellation, and it will, and it has relieved some stress and emotions and some entanglements even. So you can use everything when you use one-on-one to designate them or to make them representatives of a family system, and this can also happen spontaneously. It is a great introduction also into family constellation when you want to show or you want to demonstrate how family constellation works to somebody. It is great if you have figurines there, or if you have other objects there that you can use. So that's really, really great. It's much easier to use this than to try to explain it in theory. You know how hard that is, right? To explain to somebody who has no idea what family constellation is. Have you ever tried it? I'm sure you have, right? People asking, "Oh, what course are you on there? Please just quickly explain to me how that works." So what do you say? Any ideas? Just raise your hand and give me some examples what you say. Do you say, just go to the Family Constellation virtual website and watch the videos there? Or do you have some specific ways to express that when somebody asks you?
Like when someone asks about family constellation, Maya, is that what you mean?
Yeah, when somebody asks you, what are you doing there?
Well, the way I explain it to others, and I was able to get, a few people join the previous workshops actually, is that, everything in life has a system.
Yeah.
And family constellation is a way to understand the dynamic within a certain system in your life, whether it's your family or your connection with your attachments and everything, and figure out whether there's any glitches, if there's any problems. Yeah, that's how I explain it to other people, and they seem to understand.
That's great. Bravo. Very good. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Thank you, Yoda. Any other ideas, or somebody wants to share? Or your struggles with explaining it? I mean, to be honest, it is a struggle often, right? You try to explain it and you can't bring your point across, right? Joyce, yeah? You go?
I guess for me, I would though to my understanding, family constellation, it's about dynamics, and sometimes when we don't realize the kind of dynamics that's going on subconsciously or in the background, and so usually when we kind of ask somebody else to play the role, or we use a representative to play a role for the actual person, and when they come out, then it kind of brought the dynamic into the open, and you see what you didn't really see before, and it sort of open up your eyes, and you have a deeper understanding of what's going on, and with that understanding comes solutions or acceptance of a problem, something like that. Well, that's
Nice.
how I explain it to my husband.
Wonderful. And what was he happy with this explanation?
Yeah, I guess he just sort of like, I think the one thing that got him stuck, and also the reason why he was stuck was also because I was trying to understand it myself, was the morphogenic thing, you know, how it is that the representative can feel what the feelings of the person they're representing. So that was a bit hard to explain until you showed me that video about, you know, how some animals, like, they live in different world and they live in different country, and then they take up the habit of, you know, the same particular animal, but you know, they don't know each other, or they don't live in the same environment. So that's how I explain the field, and that's how we sort of get it in the end.
Good. Yeah, that's helpful if you explain it by the animals, for example. But you can also explain it in a more, you know, contemporary way. Explain it with the cloud, as opposed to your hard drive, to your external hard drive, right? So what we are as a representative in the family constellation discovering is in information. It's just an information. It's like bits from a computer. It's an information, right? And the information is stored, right? And it's not stored in the hard drive, which is your body, right? It's stored in the cloud, which is the morphogenetic field. And you can access, and every family member has the password to access the cloud, right? So to speak. They don't know the password, but they can access the cloud because they are a member of the family. They have like a family system password, a generic password for each of them. So they just click into the cloud and the informations are there. And when we are representing them, we are connected to the morphogenetic field, like the family member, in the same way, because we want to help, right? With our intention to help. And our presence, we need to be present to do that, right? And this is why I always say, if your client has no issue, you get incoherent results because the morphogenetic field is not opening up. That is the key. The morphogenetic field is opening up because a family member has a pressing issue that the family system itself wants to be solved as well. Yeah. And then it's so to speak the key that you turn in, and then the morphogenetic field is opening its doors and allows the information to come through. But if nobody it's not like voodoo. Nobody else has all the keys and can lock into all the family systems and get all the information and mess about with it. This is not how it works. Thank goodness, because there's a safety system in there, right? There's like a firewall, a massive firewall in the whole system, so that not somebody out of curiosity can go into your morphogenetic field, into your family system.
I see. Okay. I do have one question, though, Maya.
Sure.
Would you say one-on-one session is as effective as group session?
That's a really tricky question to answer. You've been asked this all the time, or I've been asked it all the time. And I just put it that way. It is different. And I don't think one can replace the other. So definitely one-on-one sessions work. There's no question about that. I mean, absolutely, they can have a very deep impact. but then normally the client comes to a point where the group is necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, this is why I also offer to my one-on-one clients, if they book 5 one-on-one sessions within, I don't know, I think it's half a year, they get a free workshop to introduce them to the workshop, you know, because I want them to experience, after working one-on-one for a while with me, I want to experience them how a workshop is. Because it just tackles things from different angles. And it is just so valuable if you can hear the representatives talking, no? And that's different. Like you have your figurines and the figurines doing things. You will be amazed how they actually act or react, but they cannot really talk. I mean, obviously they have no mouth. They cannot really talk. So that's the difference. And I think that's very valuable. And I would always ask the client who comes more often to also try a workshop, to add it on to the work. Okay. My Linda, you have your hand up.
Yeah. Maya, how would you, have you come across any client who is maybe like very private, you know, they're not vulnerable enough to share like the reason why they like one-on-one is because of the privacy, like they don't like other people knowing their family dirty laundry. How do you convince people to actually come more to the group sessions? Thank you.
That's happening also often. Most people who want a one-on-one do have a problem with, you know, going to a group, but you know by now what the problem is, right? What is the group representing?
Represents the family of the client.
The group is representing the mother.
Oh.
The group is the mother. So if people want a one-on-one because they do not want to face a group and they have all kinds of excuses for that, they have a mother issue. Right? So you work one-on-one on the mother, guarantee that comes up, you know, until this mother issue is, you know, softened. Yeah, I don't want to say solved because, you know, softened. And then they will be able to go to a group event. Most clients, most people say, no, I have, you know, my problems are so private and they are so like, I feel so embarrassed or I feel so whatever, right? But that is not the point, right? They are overvaluing the importance of their problems, right? That's what happens. That is a pairing of a super ego and a mother problem. And then they want to have one-on-ones, yeah? But and that's okay. I mean, that's nothing bad with that. That's how you start. And then you start and then you work and one client may become never again. That's fine. Other clients book you every week, boom, 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 right? And that's also fine. And then at one point, if they are really serious with the work and if they're really serious with healing family wounds and coming, you know, discovering more about their self and self-realization, they will eventually want to go on a workshop. And they will all, but some they need to shed first a lot of burdens that they are carrying in one-on-ones. Yes, Joyce.
You mentioned that it's a mother issue. I'm just wondering why mother, not a father issue? Like, how do you know it's a mother issue, not a father issue?
That's the group is representing the mother. That's what we're telling us is, and it's absolutely true. I've never seen it any different. It is what it is. That's just the etymologically whatever experience of the field work, right? So the group
always represent the mother.
The group is always the mother. So what is representing the father? Who or what is representing the father? I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that in that.
That was founder. Was it not the founder or the head of the
teacher?
company?
The teacher, yeah, the teacher. I was after this word. So if somebody has a problem with the teacher or the group leader or the facilitator, or the founder, right? If somebody has a problem with them, they have a problem with father. So that's just the orders of love. That's what it is, which is great. It reveals itself immediately when you have a client saying, oh, no, I can't go to group session. No, that's nothing for a group. I mean, it's impossible to talk or to face or to whatnot, right? Then, you know, okay, we will see the mother very, very soon when this person continues to work. Probably not in the first session, but certainly in more sessions down the line. And then when they have been through the mother issues and they would be able to go through the group, but then they turn around the facilitator in the group, then the father issue comes up. Well, then you can work with that. So this is how you work your way through all the issues that the client has to help him or her to heal family wounds and become more happy and free in their own life. All right, okay, let's go ahead with what I have on my charts. We actually talked about that. Some people don't want to join a workshop. That's why. That's most often the reasons why. There are not many other reasons, especially not since they are virtual workshops. Somebody cannot even say, I can't travel, I have no money for that, or I am disabled, or I can't walk, or something. All these excuses are in the virtual world not relevant anymore. So it is actually the fear of the group in the end. Yes. Okay, so pros and cons in working one-on-one. First of all, the pros. You can focus on the individual, which you cannot do in a group. I mean, you think you're focusing on the individual because he's sitting next to you, but you always have to have the group in your view as well. So you cannot completely and fully focus on an individual as you can in a one-on-one session, right? Because there's nobody else. So that's only the client and that's it. And a lot of clients want actually that, right? They want to be without any competition. They want to have you for themselves, right? And that is also, I'm guessing here, but I'm pretty sure it's a good guess why Bert Hellinger was not offering one-on-one sessions. So the focus on the individual is what you get when you do a one-on-one session, and what also your client is getting, right, in a one-on-one session. Then you can change. You can work on more than just one issues in a one-on-one session. Yeah. So you got the chance, if there's enough time. If one question is raised and you work with this question, and let's say it took 20 minutes, then you would have time to work on something that comes up, right? Because you have this time. You have this time frame, let's say an hour or how long your session is, and then you can actually, and this, you know, this hour is paid, so this client has this hour, and you can fill it in with more family constellations if you feel that is okay, you know, if you think that is helpful. One can lead to another, right? That's possible. So that's, I would say it's more a pro than a con. It's definitely a pro. While in a workshop you would say, okay, that's it, please be seated, and then you would ask somebody else to come forward with an issue, right? You would not think of working with one person for extended periods of time. Right, when one constellation has come to peak, then you break it up normally. So some people are just introverts, right? They open better up alone. That's also something which is a pro. And when you offer one-on-ones, it's not that they demand one-on-ones. It's not that they think they can't cope with the group. It's just that they are shy, basically. And I think it is really beautiful to offer the shy people or the introverted people one-on-one sessions. That doesn't mean that they open up in the one-on-one as very, very good, but you can guide them better to open up in the one-on-one session. And since it's their decision to book a one-on-one session, you know, they will be already ready to share because they have paid for it. They why wouldn't they not get something in the return, right? You are more flexible with individual appointments. So when you offer group work, then obviously you have a date and a time and an event room. And then people have to come. And if they can't make the time for some reason, they will miss out on the family constellation workshop. But with one-on-one sessions, you can make individual appointments. You are flexible. It could be, you know, late in the evening or in the morning or whatever would suit your client if you're okay with that. So I think that is definitely a pro for one-on-one sessions. And then it is, as we talked before, it's easy to integrate in existing coaching sessions, the family constellation, which is also pro, because if you have a workshop, everybody needs to come for family constellations, right? Somebody who doesn't want to family constellation, doesn't know anything about family constellation, is simply not showing up. But if you have your own coaching sessions, you can introduce the client to to family constellation and even provide a one-on-one session if they are curious enough to want to try it. So that is also a beautiful thing to consider, and why I think it's good to offer one-on-one sessions. You can combine all your skills that you already have with family constellation. So for example, you can combine it with essential oils, which is what I do. Either combine it with massages or Reiki or energy healing of other means, right? So you can combine it. I would say combine it, not mix it. Yeah, so it would be still, you have your family constellation and then you have your massage, your Reiki, your essential oils, right? It's not mixed, right? You're not using, like, I don't even know how that would work, but I just try to make something up. Like, I don't say, okay, this essential oil is standing for your father and this essential oil is standing for your mother and things like that. I would make a proper one-on-one family constellation, and then I would use essential oils, but that is later when I'm talking about that, to open up the client or to support their healing or the steps they want to take by finding the matching essential oils for him or her, right? So that's what I mean with don't mix it up. Keep family constellation what it is, right? Keep it pure, Bert Hellinger's family constellation, and then add and combine it with what you can offer already. And that also is for you great because you are certainly more confident in the methodology you're already applying in your consultations. So you feel probably also more supported when you combine this method with family constellation. Also, of course, client confidentiality is a pro of one-on-one session. However, I think this only applies if the client is, I don't know, has committed a crime or something like that, right? That you feel like a priest, that you're receiving this information and you can't talk about it. Obviously, that's probably nothing that you want in a workshop setting. To be talked about. So that's probably it's a pro for the one-on-one session. But however, this is very rare. Actually, I have not had that so far. I don't think so. So when the client was saying, I need a one-on-one, it is too private, it is really, I need the confidentiality, and then I have the client and then we talk, it is nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, it's absolutely not even worth talking about. It's like what everybody's dealing with. It's nothing special at all, right? But that's what I said, the super egos are coming with this because they think it's so unique, their problem. It's so special and so, how can I say, so ugly and so bad and so that they cannot share it in a group. But in fact, when they share it, it's like everybody else. Somebody else would share it easily because they don't have this bad, they don't think it's so special. So this is all coming from the mind, which is okay. There's nothing bad with it. Like, you know, you still conduct it. It's not that you have to say, okay, you can't come. You are such a super ego. you want to work and help everybody, right? Who's coming is worth your attention. That's what I always say. Because the morphogenetic field is also guiding us in what we do. And when a client knocks at your door, I would say, take it on. Take it on, because it's good for you too. Otherwise, the client wouldn't knock on your door. So what do we have? Now we have the cons of one-on-one sessions. So that's actually a very, very dangerous thing. I have seen that so many times. And the temptation is great when you know your client well, that you, instead of doing the work with the morphogenetic field and doing family constellation, you go in a kind of discussion with your client, or even a chit chat, right? And this is a very real danger. And then you are kind of not in a one-on-one situation anymore. You are more in this, how can I call it, in this psychology session where one is lying on the chair, you know, got to talk about everything that comes to their mind, and the therapist is taking notes, listening, and steering the mind in a certain direction, right? And obviously that's not family constellation. That's not what we do. So yep, it is dangerous in a one-on-one session to go off track. Let's put it that way. And you have to be really focused and determined to not let it happen. Because the client would be super happy to steer you with talkings in a direction where the client feels comfortable and feels like, you know, wanted and feels like heard and so. But that is not the work family constellation. We want to go deep down to the root cause of the problem, and not swim on the surface with what the mind is offering, right? Yeah, so this is probably the greatest danger in one-on-ones, something that does not happen in a workshop setting. Or I don't think, I mean, of course it can happen, but it shouldn't happen, and it's not so easy to happen, no? Because you have the other group members there, and you want to conduct family constellation for each of them, and you know when you're starting to chit-chat with somebody, you're losing the time for somebody else, and the group knows it as well, and they will be very unrest. They don't want to hear you chit-chatting, right? So you get this feedback from the group that puts you back on track, which you don't have in a one-on-one session. Okay. That's a very obvious one. Why the one-on-one session is probably not ideal is because you have no other people to help as representatives. So although I urge you to do one-on-one session starting with family constellation, because it's an easy way to do it, you will also find it probably more challenging because you don't have the representatives who are giving you hints. Yeah. So this is kind of, you know, this is kind of what you have to find balance with, right? Working with objects who are representing, but they are not talking. So you can't ask them, how do you feel? And as you know, this is the most common start of a family constellation, to ask the representatives how they feel. And that is, unfortunately, you won't get an answer from your figurines or your, you can, of course, and we're talking about that when I show you how we actually do it, you can always represent each object. You can connect with each object and go in and be the representative for this family member, and also feel what needs to be felt, right? So you can do that, especially in small cons when you have only 3 figurines there or so. That's simple, not simple, but that's doable. If you have a larger constellation with 10 or more, you have to be very, very focused and maybe also experienced to feel all the different figurines, right? Or gifted or something like that. So also a con for one-on-ones is that you're open to manipulations by the client. And they want to manipulate you. That's just the way it is, right? So you have to be very alert that you are still leading the session and not your client. For example, when your client is, you want to do a family constellation and your client is still talking, and you realize, oh my gosh, we are actually going in this chit-chat situation instead of actually doing the work. And then you would intervene and say, okay, let's do the work. Let's go back to the work. Then your client who doesn't want to do the work subconsciously, because it goes deep down a rabbit hole, which the client is not quite ready to face yet, they would start to ask you questions. You know, and they might be interesting questions and topics you want to talk about. And all of a sudden you find yourself talking. You stopped your client talking, but now you are talking, you know. You're talking about family constellation and if you have had this before and how you have helped others, you know, and all of a sudden you are talking, but it's still, you're not doing the work. You're still not doing the family constellation. And some clients are really, really good at that. So you need to spot it and say, okay, stop talking. We are now doing the work. Let's start with the constellation. I have also found it quite challenging, especially in my first years, to keep to the time frame in one-on-ones, because clients, for starters, talk a lot more in one-on-ones. And then you have the constellation, and then the clients, they want to know something about it because they might have not understood. And this is different in workshops. There is more that they can experience, but if you're working with objects, they might not follow what has happened, right? And you might feel the need to explain what actually happened, for example, on the board with the figurines. And so when this is happening, then it's very easy to overstep the time frame. And you don't want to do that because you have set a certain time aside and you should do the work within that. That is to be expected from you. And the client will also probably want more time out of you, but in the end will also have enough, more than enough, received in this time frame and should not be overwhelmed with more information, neither, right? So you have an eye on the watch and steer in the direction that you meet the time frame. If you said, okay, we have half an hour, you have half an hour. You can overstep 1 to 3 minutes, but that's max. You cannot make half an hour and then ending up with 45 minutes, right? Or if you have 45 minutes, you shouldn't end up with an hour or more. Of course, you don't have the group support. Now, when I say a pro is for one-on-ones that you don't have the group because you can focus on the individual, that's still valid. But a con is that you have not the support of the group, because the group can also really carry you through some difficult times, right? The group support can be very helpful for you as a facilitator as well. So simply in a one-on-one session, you don't have the group support. That's a con, right? Because sometimes it was really valuable to have it. Also, when you are in a one-on-one session, you have to hold the energy level always high. Also, there is a lack of the group energy that is supporting you to holding the energies. You are on your own to hold the space and to hold the energy high. So that can also be a little bit daunting. Nothing major, I would say. I think this is quite naturally. When you are facilitating in one-on-one sessions, you will hold the energy high. I'm just saying that you need to be aware that you don't have any support, so you are the one who holds the energy high. Your client definitely not. Yeah, because otherwise he wouldn't need you, because the energy would be lower of your client because he's in the state of need of help. So the setup of a one-on-one session. So first of all, you need some legal requirement. You might need to meet some legal requirements. That might be different in your country, so you have to research that. Normally you want a disclaimer, a sign-up form or an indemnity form, however you call it. I have one, obviously, and I show you that on the next slide, what I use. That would be the one for the online sessions. If you have a client in your space, then you have also the local health and safety regulations. So you need to be aware what they are, and do you meet them? Do you have a fire extinguisher, or do you have a first aid kit handy? All these things are required. So if you are running a clinic or a clinic room, or even if it's in your house, just a little room that you put aside for this work, it's still, if you have a client who's paying money, then you have to meet certain requirements, right? So just research it in your own country and what they would be, and then make a form that the client has to sign. Also, you need the information from your client, name and so on, birth date, maybe. That depends on how many information you want to get from your client, and that needs to be in the form as well. That's not a chai, it would be nice. It's a chair. I don't know where the R is gone. So you have a table and a chair. Not in only one chair, you have actually two chairs, because you are sitting and your client is sitting, right? Why a table? While in a workshop, we have no table, of course, because we are working with the other persons there. But if you don't have the group, then you need a platform like a table to place your objects. That's normal. Maybe you're using large objects on the floor. That's fine. Then you don't need a table, right? If you are working with large objects on the floor, you don't need a table. But if you're working with small objects, like I have just said, it's this example at the lunch table in a restaurant with glasses and bottles and pepper and salt, whole containers and vases and all of that, cutlery. These are what I would say are small objects, and they need a table, obviously, so you can work on it. Oh, here's the RS, that's nice. So table and chairs. Then I introduce you to the concept of having wobbly chairs. You might wondering what that is and why you would want them. Well, the thing is, you want to work with the subconscious mind of your client. You want to get your client into alpha state often. When you work, and you want to work, and you want to have the cooperation of the subconscious mind. If the client feels really comfortable, and I say again, if it would if you would have a couch where the client lies on, like we have these pictures in our head from the classical psychotherapy, right? They are so super comfortable there, right? The subconscious mind is happy with that because it can still hide. That's what it does all the time, right? So that's not how you relax somebody. You relax somebody with an upright spine, that the body needs to be a little bit on the edge, so never too sure if it is really, really, really safe. That brings the subconscious mind into play. Then once there is movement, now you can control it, you know, with going in alpha state. This is why I always ask everybody who's at home, and they obviously have no wobbly chair, to sit at the edge of the chair. Do not lean back. Keep your spine unsupported. With your spine being unsupported, you obviously have to find balance. The body has to find balance. And that is good for the subconscious mind to come, because that is, remember, one of the 3 tasks of the subconscious mind is to control body functions. So the subconscious mind is now not sleeping, it is there saying, okay, here I am, I have to hold this body, in balance. And now you got the subconscious mind working with you, although it doesn't know that yet, right? And then when you go into alpha state, then the subconscious mind goes with you, right? And the person doesn't fall asleep because it's too relaxed and nothing's happening anyhow, right? However, if I'm working my clinic, I do have special chairs which have a round bottom. And they are pretty much like the comfortable version of the balls that you can sit on, this huge blow-up balls. Do you know what I mean? Like a gymnastic ball or something like that. A huge ball where you can sit on, that's also wobbly. So I have chairs that have the same idea. They have a round bottom and they wobble a little bit. And so the client has to sit upright with this and no arm, no back rest and no arm rest, right? It's like a stool. It's like a stool that's wobbling, and so the client has to sit on it, has to put the feet on the ground, because otherwise it would just fall over, and keep the spine upright, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to control the wobble. So it is actually really, really, really good to have something like that. If you set up your one-on-one working space, you might consider that you want some chairs that are not so stable, that the client still, or the subconscious mind of the client still needs to be alert. The same happens with standing. Malcolm Southwood has only worked with clients standing. They never sit down, they don't lie down, they have to stand. However, he is a tall man and he is towering pretty much every client he has. I cannot work standing because I'm not that small, but I still have clients that are taller, and I cannot work with the clients who are taller. So I let them sit down. And I found this also helpful for family constellation on one-on-one situation when I work with figurine or other objects. So the same kind of experience applies here. Don't make the client too comfortable. That's what I want to say. No couch when you work in family constellations. You need a little bit of space to move around, as you know, because you might work with figurines, but you might want to work with something which we go through later, floor anchors and other methods that you can combine with family constellations, and there you need a little bit of space for. Also, you can ask your client to get up in a family constellation when you use objects and say, I want you now to get into the role of this ancestor. Like in a family constellation workshop, yeah? So you would ask your client to represent one of the objects on the board. And you know how that is. They need a bit of space to move around, to find their space where they feel they want to stand and where they want to look at and something like, so they need a little bit of space. So the tiniest office where only a chair or 2 chairs and a table fits in is not the best choice to do the work in a one-on-one session. However, you don't need large rooms because it is still just another person in the room. I would suggest to have always a soft surface when you work one-on-ones, like a rug or a carpet, because in this work they can maybe collapse, they may want to lie down, they may fall over, roll over. This can all happen, and you want to make sure that they are landing soft. That's one thing, right? To make sure they are safe and sound when they're working with you. Always have cushions and blankets there, like we do in the online sessions. When the client wants or needs to hug, then the cushion is the one thing that they need, right? So provide that. Blankets, sometimes when you do a rebirth with your client, then you would need a blanket to cover your client after the rebirthing, right? To keep the client warm. So cushion blankets, definitely a good, if not a must, to have in your clinic room. You need tissues, lots of tissues, of course, and a bin for that. Don't forget the bin, because you want to have a place where the client can dispose of all the tissues that are used. So always have a good supply on tissues there. What else do we have? Water, yes, water would be good to be provided to your client. I think it's always good to have water and let the energy flow and keep the client hydrated. So always have a water carafe and clean glasses there. They're actually quite beautiful carafes. Some have the flower of life on the bottom engraved, and some have crystals in it or something to energize the water, make the water more pure. That will also help with the release of an emotional burden. So that is a good thing to provide. An essential oil diffuser is also very helpful when you are diffusing is essential oil that you might pick intuitively, or you might always choose the same, like a relaxing one, like lavender or peace or something like that, to create the atmosphere that you want yourself and your client in. Essential oils are great with this. And light, of course, as well. Other than when you're online and you need a bright light to illuminate your face in your clinic room, you want a normal light. Don't shine the light in the face of your client, obviously, but you still want to see. Yeah, so don't do it too dim. Don't do the work with candlelight and only. And so it sounds romantic, but I don't think it really works. I think keep it like not too bright, not too dark. Keep a good working light, which creates a soft atmosphere, the atmosphere you really want. That's up to you. I personally use essential oils in my clinic during the practice, but also for testing. So the clients have something to look at and, and sniff and just do something, because if clients come, especially if they're new, that's a really good icebreaker or conversation opener if there's something that they can ask, like, oh, what is this oil and blah blah blah, and what is it for, and what is it good for, and can I smell it, or something like that. So if you're not into oils, that's fine. Just use something else. If you have a collection of vintage miniature cars, put some in your clinic room, so you have a conversation opener if your client sees that and asks you about that. So what I'm saying is, I don't think a completely sterile room with only white walls is good neither, right? It's kind of be very intimidating and daunting for your client to come to. Something personal there, something that tells something about yourself, your preference, what you like, so they can ask about it is a good is a good setup for your room. And some nice pictures that they can also ask about. So just something that the client can, which is not the issue, because it's a icebreaker or a conversation opener, and it's not just, okay, sit here and tell me about your problem. Access to toilet is actually really something to consider. I know that from my own experience. When I started in a space adjourned to my house, I thought, oh, they come only for an hour. They don't need to go to the toilet for an hour. Yeah, you don't know. Most of them needed to go to the toilet either straight when they came or straight after the work, right? Because somehow they need to relieve their, I don't know, their bladder. there seems to be a lot of tension before and after the work, or before the work and after work, a lot of release. So if you then have to guide them through the whole house, which is all your private space, to use your private toilet, I found that not very suitable. So I was considering to put up like a compost toilet outside in a little, in a little hut, to create something for my clients, so I have this problem solved. But then I moved houses, and then this problem was solved. But I would have done it if I would have stayed in this house. So consider that when you're not working in a professional space, when you're working at home, how you go about your clients needing the toilet, because they will need it often. Unfortunately, this is not the exemption, this is the rule. I talked about health and safety rules and regulations, so just consider that not only when you are doing your disclaimer, but also in fact what you need, what you have to provide in your house, in the clinic room, to meet the local health and safety rules and regulations. Maybe you need a second exit or something like that, who knows? So just inquire into that. That's the same, fire alarm and exit. So all these rules need to be looked at, how you can, or how you have to set up your room to meet those requirements by the governments. Okay, so this is the sign up form and disclaimer that I use. It's a very brief, a very short one. Here in New Zealand, we don't have crazy laws about responsibility for other people. We have the rule that everybody's responsibility for themselves, mainly. So our disclaimer doesn't need to be huge. But I know in America it's different. It's really different. There's a lot that's much bigger. This disclaimer or indemnity form. But all I really want is from the customer to give me the name, the date of birth, the phone, the email, the address, and then that they signed, I state that the above information are true and correct. So I have the true address, for example, and the true date of birth. I'm aware that I'm solely responsible for my own health, safety, and well-being during and after the session. Always add after, because they might go out of your session, everything is fine, then they feel dizzy, they stumble over something, they fell down, they break their arm, they go back and say, that was because of your session, right? And you say, yeah, but you have waived, you have taken over your own responsibility for your health and safety, you have signed it, right? I hereby agree to hold the facilitator, host, organizer, and or any other second or third party, that's, being a lawyer, involved, not responsible for any physical or emotional distress or injury that may be sustained during or as a result of the consultation. Right. That's as far as we go here in New Zealand. You might have to go, in more specific, or may not. You have to find that out for your local rules. And then, of course, I have some space for notes, because I may want to take notes about the consultation itself. And these notes are not meant to be used for the next consultation. That's, that's not how family constellation works. We always take the information from the field as it is now. We are not kind of making a plan 3 sessions in advance. So today we do this, next week we do, next week we do. Because in meanwhile, after the first constellation, something has shifted that was unknown before. And something else comes up, which is now immediate and not the planned session. So you have to stay open to that. To stay open to that, you want to forget about the session, honestly. You want to forget, that's really good news. You don't have to memorize what you have done with your client. You forget about it and you're open about it. It's a positive thing. Say to your client, look, I don't remember what I've done last week with you. Yeah, because if I would remember it, I wouldn't be connected with the field. I would be in my mind. And, and that's not the work. That's not the work of family constellation. And that's a really, really good thing. So you take the notes not to remember what exactly has happened in the constellation. You take the notes while you do the constellation. If you want to, want to address something in the same session. So it's for you, you can draw, you can draw stick men. If you lose, that you don't lose track about the family members that you want to look at, or that the client is mentioning, or you just do your own scribbles about what you observe in the session. It is really for you to work with. It's not too much to archive it, right? Well, that's how I work. I'm not saying that you can't, you cannot make more detailed notes about the session. You can, right? So what's next? So now we're coming to the question how to design a one-on-one session. So we have to think about what is the right time frame. How long shall a one-on-one session last? That's the first thing. So I would suggest the shortest session is probably half an hour, and the longest probably 1.5 hours, and anything in between. I think both ends are quite extreme. 30 minutes is quite short, and half an hour is quite long. So in my experience, 45 minutes to an hour is just perfect for a one-on-one session. I would always start, if I start working with 1 hour, because you need more time. Like in every profession, you get more efficient over time. So obviously when you start, you need more time. So make it an hour. And then over time, it can be 55 minutes, 50 minutes, and maybe even 45 minutes that you can, do the whole one-on-one session with opening, the main part, which you talk about then, and the conclusion, and also with new clients to whom you have to explain family constellation first, anyhow, which always is another added 10 minutes, right? Because, it's not so easy. It's not so easy to explain it in one sentence, for example. So we start the session with an introduction. So the introduction can be that you talk about family constellation because the client is new, is curious, came on recommendation of somebody else, but has not truly made any research into family constellation. Now, of course, this can take, I don't know, half an hour to explain exactly what happens in a family constellation. You don't have that much time. So you have to find a preset explanation that you always use that takes you about 5 minutes, right? Where you cover the basics of family constellation, the orders of love and how they apply in a family constellation, how a morphogenetic field works. Don't make it longer. And think about that up front, because you have to provide this speech over and over and over and over again. So you might as well design one with your own words that suits you in your own language, and then you use it. And don't try to, every time somebody asks you, you are thinking about words and you're stumbling over your words because you know, it's something you can really learn by heart to explain to people about family constellation. But it's not only the intro. The intro is only for a client who wasn't there before, who has not had a family constellation, but then other clients who come for a family constellation because that's what they want, because they know about it, or the same client who comes repeatedly, who doesn't need this intro anymore, every session still has an intro. And what is the intro for? The intro is for to get the client out of their stress that they come with because they have an issue. And this is why I think the intro is also good, that you have some objects in your room that you can talk about that are not regarding family constellation. This is nice to do that, right? That would be the intro. Or you can ask your client about some life circumstances they are in, just, because you are interested in the life of your client, briefly, briefly, not that you're coming into chit chat, but that would be also an intro. An intro would be everything that opens up the client and makes the client more comfortable in the situation that he or she finds himself in. And I think that is really worth time spent to jump. So sit down, tell me about your issue. This can be very daunting for the client, and you might kind of go into a state of fear or shock or whatnot, right? That you have a hard time to get the client out again. So make your client comfortable. Comfortable, I mean mentally and emotionally comfortable, not physically. Physically, we don't want the client comfortable. But other than that, yes. And also you want probably to gain trust as well, especially if you haven't worked with the client for long. And this is your time. These 5 to 10 minutes intro, depending on how long your session is, that is your time worth spent to make to gain trust, so your client is feeling really well, truly well kept in your hands, right? That's really, really important for your work as well. Then you have the session, that's the main session, which is obviously a family constellation, but it can also be, and it can be included into that, a regression or rebirthing or anything that you have learned on the course, if this is coming up, right? So don't shy away from it. You know how to deal with it. Use the tools that you have when they come up. And don't be afraid. You don't need to have everything present when your client sits in front of you. You have to trust the field is giving you the right information as well. So you just need to be open and connect to the field and be open to receive the information that are needed for you to do the work as well. So that would be the main part for the session, which also takes the most time, obviously. And then you have a closing. In the closing, you want to make sure your client is in a state where they can leave the room and they are not confused, to put it negatively, or positively, they leave the room and they feel lighter. They feel as if a burden of whatever heaviness has been taken off their shoulder, right? And this is not your goal, this is just the effect the work has, yeah? And so in closing, you want to make sure that this is achieved. So how do you do that? You take them out of the field, you guide your client, maybe in a guided meditation, you know, or to his happy space or out of the family system, to back to their life, where they are, for example, they have a family waiting for them, or a child, or pets, or the work, or whatever you know from your client is what your client what is out there. Who is expecting a client, that they are there to receive your client. So they are back in the now, they are back in their real life, and they are going with this feeling of lightness, right? So they are not dwelling in the issue, and they leave the issue behind because it has been dealt with. That's what the family constellation does, right? So they come, look at the issue, you work with the family constellation, and the issue is probably not in the mind, but in the morphogenetic field solved. So they should leave with the outlook that this is now dealt with. So their burden is, it's not them to carry it anymore. And the closing can be a ritual. You can create any kind of ritual you want in closing, as long as it's not too esoteric. So, you know, with feathers and smoke of white sage and stuff like this. So this is probably getting a little bit astray and afar from what we do in family constellation. But, you know, if you have a little ritual, meditation is always great, or stretching or shaking or whatever you let let your fantasy guide you to find something that you feel good with and your client feel good with, and when you feel good with it, your client will feel good with it as well. So you need to be happy with what you are doing there in the closing session. Okay, when you design the session, you have to think about where are your strengths. That's important, because you want to play your, like cards, you want to play your trumps. You want to play your strength in the one-on-one session. And forget about your weaknesses. Just play your strength. So if you are really good in conversation with your client, you can guide your client in your conversation to let go of any resentments with the work. And that is your strength. So play your strength, right? Or when your strength is to, I don't know, work with your hands because you do massages or you do Reiki or energy work, then work with these, use this in the intro, use this in your closing, use these tools you already have, which you feel good with and they work. Use them, but don't mix them up with the family constellation. I just want to emphasize that. Keep the family constellation itself pure, like the work you have learned, like the work that Bert Hellinger has shown us and given us, but use your strength in the intro and the closing, for example, when you need that. And think about that. Where would they be? Of course, you also have to think about your boundaries. Where are your boundaries, right? And accept them for now, not forever, but for now. Just say, okay, I'm not Superman, I'm not Superwoman. So I have my boundaries there, so I'm not overstepping that, And then you feel also good about what you are doing, and your client feels more safe. Because if you don't feel good about what you're doing, your client is reflecting that, and much more in a one-on-one session as in a group, right? So they will feel that, they reflect that, and they will get nervous at best, or they may start to play with you, take over control. So stay within the boundaries that you have for yourself at this moment, being assured they don't stay there, they will, open up and play your strength sides. So when you design a session, you also have to think in advance, what props or tools will you use, and have them there. And we will talk about what that could be just later on, what that could be, or the tools and props that you might want to use in your family constellation. You make your client comfortable, but not physically, not too comfortable, through body language, right? You are inviting. So body language includes not only gestures and eye contact and not crossing over arms like this, and not crossing legs, or not poking the legs, stretching out the legs in front of your client. All these is body language. But body language is also the colors you wear, right? So if you have a strong color, like you wear a red shirt or something like that, be aware. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying be aware that's your body language. What are you what are you conveying when you do that, right? Also, when you're always dressed in rags, I don't know, not that you are, just as a matter of example, right? To make your client always feel better about themselves, and you know what I mean. That's a body language, that's you're conveying a message there, and you have to think about that when you do it, when you get dressed. Is that the message you want to convey, right? This is actually what I want to say. So that's body language as well. What is this? Trust. So you have to gain trust when your client is new, or like a reoccurring client, but then you have to gain trust, obviously, and this happens at the first seconds, really. The first seconds they come in the room, that's what happens, right? So sometimes you don't have a second chance. So think about that. What do you do to make the client trust you when they come? And we have an exercise for that, so you can think about that in your own words. Credentials are great. That's actually also part that raises the trust and the confidence of the client. So if you have certifications or testimonials, hang them on the wall. And hang them there where the client sees them. Right? Don't hang them behind the client. That would make no sense. But also don't hang them right behind you. That's not good neither, because the client has to stare at it all the time, right? Hang it somewhere where the client can see it, but he doesn't need to look at it all the time. Something to the side, for example. That would be something that really is a good method to for the client to gain trust. Communication skills, you have to think about where your strengths, where your weaknesses in terms of communication, yeah, and use wherever you feel strong about, and reuse it. Don't think that when you're always saying the same thing, it gets boring, not even for recurring clients. It's not. It makes them trust you, and that makes them feel safe. You don't need to be clever. Don't try to be clever. Use your own words, simple words, and use them all the time. Use what we talked about, tools like diffusers, candles, a salt lamp, or something that you like, not because I say it, something that you like anyhow. Just use this because you feel confident if you have it, and because you feel good about it. That is actually giving your client also trust in your work, because you feel good about yourself, the client feels good about you. So make sure the room is representing you in a way that you feel good about it. Don't try to be somebody else. That's really important, because the client comes to you because you are who you are, and you have to trust them. Yeah, and again, don't let your client be too comfortable, right? There is a little bit of a twist to it, but you will see it if you do it, and you can also experiment with everything I said and see where it leads you. So, yay! Now we're having the exercise. Actually, we can have the break first probably, and then do the exercise, because we're almost there, 1.5 hours. How do you feel about it? So I will show you what the exercise would be, so you can think about it if you want to in the next 10 minutes of your break, and then we actually do the exercise. So the exercise would be about designing a one-on-one session, and you work in groups of 2 or 3. Hang on, I think. Where is the rest of the group? No, everybody's there. So we are 9. So let's make it 3 groups of 3. You create together an info brochure for your service, right? The duration, the setup, the prop, the intro, the price, and everything else, right? It's not necessary in a brochure that you are publishing. It's for yourself. So it's your brochures. You can publish it. You can, it could be designed as if you would publish it. It could be designed as if you just public an excerpt out of it. So it's a smaller version out of it. But I want you to think about how a one-on-one session would look like that you would put up. You're in a group of 3, and you can put everything in there that you can think of, and find something mutual. If your opinions differ a lot, then do 3 different brochures. That's fine. You don't need to come up with one mutual one, but it would be nice. Okay, So, but I meet you in 10 minutes here. That would be 5 past. And then we talk about the exercise again, and then we actually do it. See you in 10 minutes.
Wow, yeah, that was really brief.
Hello back. How's everyone? Yeah? Okay, let's start sharing. Whose group wants to start? Sylvia, yay.
Our group can start. Yeah.
You go.
Okay, we can. I can just share my screen, Maya. I still haven't got permission. to
Okay, let me
share.
do that. You should have. You should have.
Mm,
Let's
no,
do
not
it
yet.
now.
Ah, okay, now okay. Okay. Okay, I made it very simple. I'm not a designer, but you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Very
yes, I
nice.
mean.
That's it. I like the dog on it.
Yeah, so this is our intro. Our customized private consultations are tailored to support your unique needs to uncover and resolve the problems of the present by using family dynamics as a tool of understanding the origins of possible family conflicts. Key benefits: find a root issue, gain clarity on how to resolve the problem, and flexible timing to accommodate your busy lifestyle.
Mhm.
And we are charging 1 hour private consultation starting from 1.7 million rupiah. And so that's why it could be flexible. If the client needs more than 1 hour, then we will, charge accordingly. And of course, we put here prior to the consultation, please prepare comfortable and quiet space with good lighting and good internet. Have your headset or earphone ready. Have a glass or bottle of water right next to you, and of course, have a cushion ready.
Oh, that's an online session.
Sorry.
That's an online session.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Online session.
Does it say anywhere?
Yes, we missed that. Yes. Okay, online.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Maya, we'll correct the poster.
Awesome. You haven't shared anymore. Is this was this finished? Did we went all the way to the end?
Yes, because that's what we thought that was
Mhm.
required to
Mhm.
create a poster, just a poster, simple
Okay.
poster to explain.
Yeah. No, that's great. So you were creating an online session, obviously. Then a lot of what we talked about does not apply because we're not talking about a room. We are not talking about the setup. Okay, no, that's cool. Very good. How did you go about it? Were you clear about how to structure your session?
Structure our session.
Yeah. You said
well,
1 hour?
Yes, 1 hour.
Mhm.
With an introduction, a short introduction in the beginning, just to
Yeah.
explain and remind them what family constellation is, and then we can start the session by asking them, what would you like to be discussed today, and what would you like to constellate,
Mhm.
and then we do the constellation.
Yeah. Well, I like you pointed out that there were 3 benefits to do one-on-one sessions on your flyer. Very good.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Sylvia. All right.
Thank you,
Next
Maya.
group. Who's next? Abby?
Okay. I'm just finding it. Hold on. Let me just share the screen. How do I? Wait, hold on a second. Okay, so this is our flyer.
Yeah.
Family constellation. So Sylvia can use it already after this.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So it's an online consultation, family constellation, one-on-one consultation. Maybe it's a bit repetitive there. So private session or private, consultation could be there. Heal yourself, heal your family, heal the world.
Nice.
Price
Yes.
is
Why
a
not?
bit of a quote there. We would charge 1.7 juta, which is an Indonesian rupiah version of 160 US dollars an hour. The benefits would be to uncover the origin of your family conflict and heal from it, improve your relationship with your parents, partners, children, colleagues, and others, transform your blockages and self-sabotage and break existing toxic patterns, discover root causes of family genetic illnesses, and reveal stresses linked through family and ancestral cross-generational dynamics, courtesy of our copywriter, Melinda. Creative positive shifts in recurring illnesses, addictions, and emotions. Overcome depression, fear, anxiety, and sadness.
Yeah.
Visit
Nice.
healfamilylove.com.
Healfamilylove.com. Nice. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I really like that you have some examples in there, like depression, fear, anxiety, and sadness. I think that's important for people can understand why they need family constellation. When you are tightening it too much to family conflicts, they think they can only come. It's like a family consultation, like they can only come if they have relationship or abusive whatever problems, or problems with their parents or with their children. While if you are family constellation is just a word to heal all kinds of encumbrances. So if you name some that are not typically domestic issues, then that becomes more clear that it is for all sorts of problems. Nice. Yeah.
Issues, things like that.
Yeah, that's good. And did you you didn't specify that on your flyer, but did you think about how you want to structure your 1 hour?
No, yeah, I think we didn't have time to talk about that, but is that something like details of how to log in, or it could just be like 1 hour?
How much time you would spend on the intro, how much time you would spend on the family constellation itself, and how much time you want to set aside for the closing.
Okay. Yeah, I think usually in our normal operation between us who facilitate the golden space, we usually have 10 minutes at the start, and then we work with 30 minutes or 40 minutes of healing, and then closing another 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Usually do for 60
and
minutes.
What would be your closing?
The closing is usually we end it with a meditation that just close their eyes, but now it's different since the light comes from within. Since you were teaching, because if not, usually I would do that washing rain white light thing. Yeah, so a lot of it is an acceptance closing, and we have this alignment cleansing and empowerment method that we use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Very good. So you would integrate what you already use, your strength is, that you would integrate that in the closing and the opening.
Yeah, so we first find the root issue. Then cleansing is also just to work on, getting them to cry, but just have some movement, either through family constellation, or usually what we do is counseling and kind of like a reading, but in family constellation, we would apply that technique then. Want to discover it. Then you use that 40-minute session for family constellation therapy. And the 10 is an empowerment meditation, usually with an uplifting music, to see that healing. In family constellation, we're all looking towards the sun, or everyone looking in the same direction. Yeah. So it's like a visual exercise in meditation to empower them. And we end it in an empowerment.
Sounds great. Lovely. Okay, thank you, Abby, for sharing that. All right, and the third group, who was that?
It was me with Talita and Andradita. So this is the flyer, and we decided to be a little bit more fun in our presentation.
That's lovely, yes.
Here's something a little bit less serious. using illustrations.
Mhm.
And we're just calling it Family Constellation One-on-One Session, a tailored healing experience. That's a tagline that we've come
Nice,
up with,
yeah.
but it's online edition this time. And we just started with a one-liner of describing, like, delve deep into your life issues and family blockages to heal negative patterns with one of our certified facilitators.
Mhm.
And then we would further outline just the simple benefits that we feel would help attract.
Ah, wonderful.
That would be like privacy, safe space all to yourself, flexibility, ability to explore multiple issues or negative patterns, healing, opportunity to break the patterns. And then we would continue by the price, which is 150 a session for 60 minutes. And then just a little invitation to sign up today. And for more information, customers can visit lightconstellation.com.
Wonderful. So you have already in this little illustration, your icons there, you're already conveying the benefits or the pros of a one-on-one session.
Yes.
Nice.
And
Mhm.
our 60-minute session would essentially be comprised of a 5-minute introduction of ourselves as facilitators to the client. And then there's a 5-minute relaxation meditation just to ground them and be present in the space. And that's as a preamble, so they're prepared to go into a 5-minute interview of what the issue is.
Mhm.
We are targeting that within 5 minutes, we can get a good understanding of the situation or the particular pattern or blockage that we need to identify, so that we can have 37 minutes worth to do the work itself.
Mhm.
Because afterwards, we would do a closing meditation, connecting to the inner light within. And we would allow 3 minutes at the end to do a final review of like the whole journey of what the client went through and things like that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Would you like them to write out like a review or like what do you think about reviews? Is that a review that the client gives about your facilitating or?
No, we originally thought it was more a review between us and the client, to get to just so that to make sure that to address any questions or anything like that, and perhaps direct them to a workshop or another session if they need it.
Mhm. Good. Yeah.
So it was more from that point of view. But asking for a personal testimonial is also a good idea.
Yeah. It's useful. Yeah, before they
Yeah.
go. Yeah. Great. Yeah, I like them all. They're awesome. They're all very different. And each of your group has kind of focused on some of the key points that I have conveyed in the first 1.5 hours, which is great. So I hope this little exercise make it more stuck with you and you feel more confident to go ahead with it in real life after the certification. Or whenever you feel you're ready. So very good. Since I have not my figurine board with me traveling, I am going to talk about something that would be part of next week. So we swap. So next week I show you the figurines and we work the figurines. So for the rest of the, what do we have, 45 minutes we have together, I want to talk to you about floor anchors and internal constellation. So question, did you ever heard this term floor anchors before? Does this ring a bell? Not really? Not really. Maybe you know it under other different words. Maybe you really haven't seen it. So floor anchors, as I refer to, is the method for finding solutions or finding or making decisions. Clients often come to you and they, or not often, but that happens, that they need you to help them making a decision. Have you discovered that? Yeah. So can tell me an example who was, yes, tell me an example, what kind of decision was this? Do you remember, Yoda?
Yes. So I had one private consultation client who came to me with a career oriented decision of whether to continue the job at the current place of employment or accept a new opportunity that has arrived.
Okay, very good. So
And,
how
yeah.
did you work with him? Would you like to explain this briefly? What method did you use?
Sure. You know, for all intents and purposes, this client's name is Bob. So confidential. That's not the real name, obviously. So Bob came in, and what I did was help connect to his inner voice, and to really articulate what his heart truly wants.
Mhm,
And I used a combination of art therapy methods to help express that inner voice
mhm.
visually onto a page, and also a little bit of keyword writing, and from there it triggered him to reflect on like what really sparks joy in his life between these two decisions, and then I essentially empowered him to make that choice himself, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you for sharing. That's obviously one method. Anybody else had a client who comes to your mind who you help with a decision with a specific method you want to share?
Maya,
Yes, Marlene.
before I take this family constellation program, I was teaching this class called Family Art Healing. So basically, like, it's open to kids as long as they can start drawing. It's, you know, they can be eligible, and parents can come too. So what I love about when they start drawing, so it's just a simple therapy. So you just draw a house, a tree, and the position of your family. So from that, you can see the dynamics, whether how far, how close are they with the father, the mother, and is there a wall between them? Are they inside the house or outside the house? So that really helps me with saving a lot of time also, you know, because the subconscious starts drawing. You can't lie, oh no, I'm okay with my mom, I don't have mother issue. So the drawing kind of help reveal everything. And it really helps really shed views and what's really the problem is, and then we can start thinking how to heal from there. So that's what I like to use and still like to use now when doing work with family healings right now, Maya.
Do you use this also with adults or only with children?
Oh, with adults also. Sometimes if my clients, they are, you know, sometimes they're in the phases of acceptance. So there are a few that is still in denial or not being vulnerable. So rather than asking and repeating myself quite a number of times, I just ask them to draw on a piece of paper. And then from then on, it shows them when they can see it on a piece of paper. They can't deny it anymore because it's not me who asked her to draw those picture. So, but usually I use this with the family, and usually this is parents who's like, oh, you know, my kids has a problem. It's my kid who need a healing. But I always tell no, the kid pick it up from either the mother or the father. So I'll ask them, I will not see your kid until I see you first, the mother, and I see that pattern. It's easier to heal the child if you know what the existing concern or challenges of the mom or the father is coming from. So yeah, that's my
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing,
Thank
Marlinda.
you.
Yeah, interesting. Good. So when I'm having a client who comes with making a decision, I make an example now. The example would be if the client has to move into another city, right? So the decision would be the client is unsure. Is it better to stay where he is, move into the city he has been suggested by his new job where he could go, right? Or there's a third city where he wants to go, where he always wanted to live, and he might wonder whether it's a good time now to take the plunge and jump into cold water and just move there and find a new job there, right? So that would be the three options he has. And now he comes and said, I don't know what to do. I'm totally stuck, right? So what I do then is I take 4 blank sheets of paper, A4 shaped sheets of paper. and I draw a symbol for each decision, or with a pencil on the page. For example, staying where they are, I would just say home. Then moving into the city where the new job takes him, I would draw a new job. And then going into the city where he always wanted to live is like dream city, right? And then I would also have a blank sheet of paper where nothing is on. And then I turn the papers around and mix them, so we don't know what's under what. And then I place them on the floor. This is why it's called floor anchor, right? And then I ask him, and they are all a meter apart. And I ask him to position himself so he looks at a blank wall or something that has anything on it. And then step barefoot or on socks on the first sheet of paper. And then I observe what is happening instantaneously with the body, right? So for example, so this is why I stand to the side of the client. So I look at the client like this. So I want to see, so if the client is standing where it's on this floor anchor, right? Where we don't know what's written on there, the body moves forward, it would be a yes. The body moves backward, it would be a no. But it could be very, very subtle. So it's really, really, really little. So, or it is like this, or it is like an instant smile on the face, and it's just for the split second, right? So it's really the first instant, and then I ask him to move. So I memorize. I notice what's going on there, and then I ask him to go on the next one, and then I observe the reaction there, and it will be different. Sometimes it is not so clear. Sometimes it's I don't know, nothing. It's really nothing. Then that's good. Then that's a nothing. There is nothing, right? So you have to take it little. Then you move it on, moving on. So then I would, of course, memorize on which floor anchor was the positive reaction, on which was the negative reaction, on which floor anchor was the neutral reaction. And then we would start to reveal it, right? So we would start with the negative reaction. I normally always start with the negative to get that off. So I say, okay, so in this example, let's say the negative reaction would staying where he is, home, right? So I say, oh, well, that was, so you really don't want to stay where you are. You really want to move on, right? So that's done. Then I would turn over the next one, which was the next reaction. Let's say it was neutral, right? And that would be probably the blank sheet of paper, which is obviously, it's neutral. So it means you have to make a decision. Sometimes people step on the blank sheet of paper, and that's where they feel the best. That means there is another option they haven't thought of yet. This is why I always add a blank sheet of paper, because there's always the possibility it is completely different to what the client thought. And that would indicate the blank sheet of paper, right? And in this example, when the positive movement, the movement forward, or the smile, or the relief, or a sigh of relief, or any kind of body language that is good, we turn that around and it says the dream city where I always wanted to go, then that would be the decision, like go take the plunge, go there, move there, and find a job there, and just live there where you always wanted to live, right? So this is called floor anchor. This is very physical, and you observe the client. However, you can also do that online. I've done it also online. I ask them just to do the same, but I want them to make sure that I can see their reaction in the camera, right? So they can do their own floor anchors and not knowing where they stand on, and I observe them. So that's also something you can do online. It's a really, really good tool to add to it. However, you can also make decisions with the family constellation. You can use your objects, or if you are in a one-on-one, any kind of objects that are representing the specific decisions, right? And then you can see if there is a movement towards or backwards in the body of the client, because the client is representing him or herself in this case, right? So that would be the family constellation. Obviously, these objects are not talking, so to speak, so they are not attracting. But a little bit similar to the drawing therapy you were talking about, if you choose different objects, some objects might represent already something positive and others something negative. You know already, if you let your client choose the object, what is subconsciously in their mind. If they, they normally would use an appealing object for the decision they really want, and a not so appealing object for the decision they probably don't want, subconsciously. So, but the floor anchor, the pure form of floor anchors is a really brilliant way to help a client with decisions. So I recommend that you keep that in your toolbox and pull it out whenever needed. It's quick. It's quick. It's done in 10 minutes, right? You don't need to pot around for an hour. You can, so I would probably do this as an opening. If a client comes for decision making, I would say, okay, we're not going into family constellation right now. We are doing the floor anchor, see what comes out. And with the result, then we are making a family constellation. So in this example that I just pulled up out of the back of my mind with the cities, we would say, okay, now sit down. Now we know that your subconscious or your heart is really longing to take the plunge and move into the new city and just start anew without any securities. So let's put that up on the board and see how that looks with, for example, figurines, right? Who would represent that? Who would represent the security that is missing, or the partner, or, and then you're in the midst of a family constellation around that topic. All right. So that was what I wanted to say about floor. Any questions regarding floor anchors? All clear? Yeah? Okay, good. Right. So now I want to talk to you about internal constellations, and I will share my charts for that. Here you go. So I call it internal constellation. What happens is that it is a family constellation that you would perform in a one-on-one session without the use of objects, without the use of anything else other than imagination. It's the imagination in your client. So your client is doing the internal constellation, right? And I will give you a demonstration so you know how that looks like. We have done that before. I use this all the time, especially online. So this is what I call an internal constellation, because it's completely internalized. The client is representing via imagination all family members that are needed for this constellation, right? So this raises immediately the question, who's facilitating, who's constellation, and who's representing? You're still facilitating. As a facilitator, you are leading it. So you will still ask the client, where are you? Who's looking at whom? How do they look? How do they feel? How, do they move towards each other? Who's moving to whom? But the client who is doing the constellation is also representing each and one of the family members. So your client will tell you, my father is 10 steps away from the mother, they are not looking at each other, they are turning their backs to each other. So your client will tell you that, and then you have just to get the picture, right? You have to have the picture in front of your eyes, as if there would be people. You have to imagine that. But the client has eyes closed and will give you all this information, right? And then you would do a normal constellation. If there's if you say, okay, so what do you see? And you say, oh, I see my mother looking at the grandmother, and the mother looks angry. you know, aha, there's an interrupted movement towards the mother, from the mother to the grandmother. So let's work with that. So you would suggest to your client, you would suggest, okay, let this child say, which is the mother of the client, to grandmother, to her mother, please. And then you would ask the client what has changed, and the client would tell you what has changed. And so you would perform or facilitate a completely normal family constellation as you have learned it. Nothing different. It's only you need more imagination to see it in front of you, because all you have is the voice of your client. And you might want to take a sheet of paper and draw it if you think you need a visual help. That might help you. The client won't see that anyhow because he or she has the eyes closed, right? So you can discreetly make your notes if you think you need it. So we're gonna make a training session. So first of all, I talk you through how we set up like an eternal constellation. Then we do the session, and then we will also do a closing. And floor anchors we have talked about already, so I can stop sharing this. Here we go. That's done. And now the question is, who wants an eternal constellation? So I can demonstrate. That's a freebie again. Hello. Don't be shy. There must be something that you want to look at. Aha, Joyce.
Okay, I can go.
Okay.
I guess for me, maybe to I've always been struggling with, I think, the imposter syndrome, like feeling not good enough. So I don't know, is that something that we can do in internal constellation, or does it have to be like a family dynamic?
Oh, well, all is a family dynamic. We see. So
Okay.
tell me, you feel like you are not good enough. Tell me an example.
So when, for example, I had a session, our golden space was having a session on Saturday, and then somebody WhatsApped me and told me that they were moved by my meditation. I tend to just automatically brush it off and say that it's not me. It's my partner who did an awesome job, or that it's just the energy as a whole. So I tend to just kind of deflect off any compliments or any positive feedback,
Okay.
so to speak.
And was this always like this?
Yes.
Also when you were little?
I don't remember how it was when I was little. Yeah, I don't remember. It's been like that for as long as I can remember. But I don't remember as far, when is the earliest I've experienced this.
Okay. And how is your mother? Is she the same or is she different?
Yeah, she's
She's the same, eh?
yes.
Okay, close your eyes, Joyce. Sit upright, your spine is unsupported. Take a deep breath. Deep into your belly. Relax your shoulders, your jaw, your tongue. Your eyelids are heavy. Feel the ground under your feet and under your buttocks. Start to continue to breathe deeply into your belly. The belly comes out on your inhale, and then you draw the navel in on your exhale. And with every breath, you let go of thoughts or expectations. And you start to feel lighter. And you come deeper into your inner space of peace and tranquility until you reach your happy space, your happy place, where everything is okay as it is. Nothing needs changing. You don't need to be changed. You are good, okay, great as you are. In this happy space, where you are safe, you are not guilty or ashamed of anything, because you're an innocent child of the universe, born into this world to have a certain experience. That's all. And in this space, you see your mother, yourself, your grandmother. Look at your mother and tell me how she feels.
She feels uneasy.
Mm-hmm. Where is she looking at?
My grandma.
Mm-hmm. How's your grandma feeling?
Detached.
Mm-hmm.
She's in her own thoughts, in her own world.
Mm. Where's she looking at, your grandmother?
Away, just
Mhm.
somewhere far away.
Is her eyes open? Are her eyes open or closed?
Her eyes are open.
Look where she's looking at. What do you see there? What is she looking at?
She's looking at her dream.
Ah, how does your dream look like?
Hmm. I can't see it.
How do you know it's her dream?
There is that longing. Um,
Is this your
I
longing
just,
or the longing of your grandmother?
hmm. It's her longing.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Now see your great grandparents, father and mother of your grandmother. They are coming into your happy space. Where are they standing in relation to your grandmother?
Yeah, behind her.
How do they look? How do they feel about their daughter?
Mm, I can't really.
Do they touch? Do they have their hands there? Are they just standing behind her?
Yeah, they're
How
just
far
standing behind
away?
her, quite far.
Hmm. Are they looking at her or looking somewhere else?
Looking at her. Looking at her.
Mhm. Okay, very good. Very good. So now look at the great grandfather, the father of your grandmother. Look at him, watch him. Is he looking friendly at his daughter?
There's no smile. He's just
Mhm.
looking stern.
Yeah. And then look at the mother of your grandmother. Is she looking friendly at her daughter?
Mm. No emotion.
No emotion. Mm. Can they see the dream that your grandmother is looking at?
No. Mm. No, it's not. It's not.
They don't see it?
No. I don't think she can see it either. It's not the dream.
It's not the dream. What is it?
It's her parents.
Whose parents?
The longing is for her parents.
Ah, very good. Very good. Now ask your grandmother to turn around and look at her parents.
Okay.
Can she do that?
Yes. Can.
And say to your grandmother, please say to your parents, please.
Say to them, please. Please.
Mhm. Very good. Very good. Very good. What is your great grandfather doing? Is he looking at her?
Looking at her now.
Mhm.
Looking at her.
Very good. And your great-grandmother?
Yeah.
Very good. Then ask your grandmother to say to their parents, please, mom and dad, I need you.
Please, mom and dad, I need you.
I need you so much.
I need you so much.
I need your love.
I need your love.
I need your approval.
I need your approval.
I need your support.
I need your support.
I'm just the little one.
I'm just a little one.
And you are so the big ones.
And you're the big one.
Very good. Ask your grandmother to go closer to her parents.
Go closer to them.
How far away is she now?
A bit nearer.
Mhm.
Not close, but nearer.
Ask her to go on her knees
Please go on your knees.
and crawl forward like a baby that cannot yet run.
Crawl forward like a baby. But you have, like you can't walk yet.
How far away is she now?
She's right in front of them.
Mm. Ask her to hug the legs of her parents.
Hug their legs.
You can grab a pillow and hug it. You are representing your grandmother, hugging their parents. Open your heart and let the love flow from the parents into her heart, into your heart. And then ask your grandmother to look up to their parents and stand up if she can. hug them. And say thank you. I now have received all the love that was meant for me.
Thank you. I have now received all the love that was meant for me.
And look at the great-grandfather and the great-grandmother and tell me how they look and if they may want to say something.
They're smiling.
Mhm.
Looking at my grandma.
Mhm. Ask your great-grandfather to say to your grandmother, yes, I love you as you are.
Yes, I love you as you are.
And ask your great-grandmother to say to your grandmother the same.
I love you as you are.
And then see your grandmother turning around, leaning against her parents. Parents putting the arms around her. Tell me, where's your grandmother looking now?
At her daughter.
Hmm. What's your mother? What's her daughter doing?
And she's smiling too.
Hmm. Let her ask, please. Let her ask her to say, please.
Say, please.
Please, Mom, I need you.
Please, Mom, I need you.
I need your love.
I need your love.
I need to know that I'm okay.
I need to know that I'm okay.
How is that for your mother and for your grandmother?
She acknowledged it.
Mhm.
It feels right.
Ask your mother to go towards your grandmother until she can hug her. Is that easy for her or difficult?
She's not used to it, I don't think.
Let us ask her to go on her knees and crawl forward like a baby towards her mother.
Crawl forward like a baby towards your mom. Okay.
And tell me when she's there.
She's in front of her mom now.
Now let her hug her mother, and you hug the pillow for your mother. And let the love flow from the grandmother to the mother. Let us say, please.
Please,
I'm so little
I'm so little
and you are so big.
and you're so big.
I need you.
I need you.
I need your love. I need your approval.
I need your love. I need your approval.
Then let her stand up, hug her mother, say thank you for giving me all your love.
Thank you for giving me all your love.
I now know you hold nothing back.
I now know you hold nothing back.
And I receive your love 100%.
And I receive your love 100%.
Mhm. And that is more than enough for me.
And that is more than enough for me.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Ask your grandmother to say to your mother, yes, I love you as you are.
Yes, I love you as you are.
And then ask your mother to turn around, lean against your mother, her mother, and against her grandparents. And they all holding her from behind. Where is she looking now?
She's looking at me now.
How is that for you?
It's good.
Mm. Would you like to go towards your mother?
Yes.
Okay. Then go run. Give a big hug. That's it. Let everything come out. Yes. Very good. Good girl. Doing well. Really well. Very good. Say to your mom, please, mom,
Please, Mom,
I need your love.
I need your love.
I need your approval.
I need your approval.
Mm. And deep breathing. Breathe deeply in. Let all the love flow from your mother's heart into your heart. And then look at your mother and say to her, now I know you give me all your love. You hold nothing back.
I know you give me all your love and you hold nothing back.
Whatever you gave me is 100%.
Whatever you gave me is 100%.
And that is more than enough for me.
That is more than enough for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then look your mother in the eyes when she says to you, yes, I love you as you are. And then you turn around and lean against your mother and against your grandmother and against your great grandparents. And they all having your arms, their arms around you. And you look forward. And what do you see?
I see my daughter.
Very good. What do you want to say to your daughter?
I love you just as you are.
Very good. Very good. Say it again.
I love you just as you are. I love you just as you are.
Very good. Take another deep breath. And then you see them all leaving your happy space like they have come. And when they're all gone, you also leave your happy space. And you come back in this room. You feel relaxed. And open your eyes in your own time. Very good. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to leave that space.
You
I wish
can
I
go
can
back
be there for a
after
long
this
time.
pool. Anytime you want. It's a beautiful place. So we'll always be there for you.
Thank you so much, Maya.
Thank
That
you
was
for
really nice.
volunteering. Okay, so this was an internal constellation, practically constellation, just that Joyce did all the work for each one, right? But as you could see, it was a normal interrupted movement towards the mother in 3 generations, wasn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so before we round up and leave for today, any questions to what you have heard? Now is the time. All good? All smiley faces? Very good. Okay, then I would say I see you next week, same time, same space. Have a wonderful,
Maya,
yeah.
I just have a question. Because next week we'll be talking about figurines and stuff. Is there anything that you'd like us to prepare?
Ah,
To
I
show?
don't think so. If you have used figurines or objects before, why don't you bring them? That would be nice to share. If you have never used objects or figurines, don't worry. We will talk about everything next week. Hmm? All right. Wonderful. So I look forward to see you in a week. And until then,
Thank you,
Bye, Maya. Thank
bye.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Joyce.
Everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.